They tell me my name is Operative K7739. I don't remember if I ever had another one. What I do remember is dying, not once, but hundreds of times in training. And every time they brought me back, there was a little less of me left to resurrect. The cold hits first, not the cold of winter or ice, but the cold of nothing. The cold of a body that has been frozen for months, maybe years. I cannot tell anymore. Time moves differently when you spend most of your existence in a chemical coma, suspended in a cryostasis pod deep beneath the Eversor temple. The darkness is absolute. I float in it like a corpse in deep water, and for a moment I wonder if this time I have finally died for real. Then the pain begins. The first injection comes through the neural ports in my spine. I feel it like liquid fire racing up my vertebrae, spreading into my brain like roots digging into soil. Frenzon. That is what the handlers call it. I just call it the rage chemical. Within seconds, my heart begins to hammer against my ribs. Once per second becomes twice. Twice becomes 3 times. The beats blur together until I cannot count them anymore. My chest feels like it might explode. Every muscle in my body tightens until I think my bones will snap from the pressure. Then comes the second injection. Fury Edge. This one is different. Where Frenzon made everything tight and hot, Fury Edge makes everything sharp. Suddenly I can hear the hum of the machinery around my pod. I can hear the breathing of the tech priest standing 15 feet away. I can smell the sacred oils he uses to bless the equipment. I can taste the recycled air filtering through the temple's ancient ventilation systems. Every sense becomes a weapon, processing information faster than any human mind was meant to handle. The third injection is slot. This is the one I hate most. This is the one that takes away the last piece of me that might still be human. The pain from the other drugs disappears. Not because it goes away, but because I stop caring about it. My muscles are tearing themselves apart from the strain of the chemicals, repairing and tearing again in an endless cycle. But the slot whispers that this is good, this is right, this is what I was made for. The part of my brain that might feel fear or mercy or hesitation simply switches off like a lamp in a dark room. My eyes open. The cryofluid drains from my pod with a sound like a waterfall. The front panel hisses and slides away. I step out onto the cold metal floor of the activation chamber. I am naked except for the neural interface ports that cover my spine and skull. My skin is pale from months without sunlight. My muscles are lean and hard like cables wrapped around bone. I look down at my hands and watch them shake, not from fear, from eagerness. The drugs want me to kill something, anything. The need burns in my chest like hunger. A servitor, half human and half machine, approaches with my armor. I barely notice as it attaches the pieces. The body glove goes on first, black as oil and studded with more neural ports. Then the armor plating, light but stronger than steel. Each piece connects to my nervous system, becoming part of me. I feel the weight of the monomolecular blade as it locks onto my left forearm. I feel the executioner pistol as it mag-locks to my right thigh. I feel the neural gauntlet sliding over my fingers, each digit now capable of ripping through ceramite like paper. A tech priest approaches, his mechanical voice buzzing through speakers. Operative K7739, activation successful. Combat effectiveness at 97%, heart rate 287 beats per minute. Neural response time 0.003 seconds. You are ready for deployment. He says this like he is reading a grocery list. To him, I am just another piece of equipment being prepared for use. I try to speak, but the words come out wrong, twisted by the chemicals racing through my system. Mission parameters. It sounds more like a growl than a question. Another figure enters the chamber. This one wears the black armor of an Officio Assassinorum handler. His face is hidden behind a skull mask. When he speaks, his voice is calm and cold. Target designation. Planetary Governor Malveus Trant of Calth Secundus. Crime. Trafficking with chaos cults and heretical activity. The Inquisition has tried him in absentia and found him guilty. Sentence. Death. Your sentence, operative. Images flash on a hololith projector. A fat man in expensive robes, a palace with high walls, guard positions, patrol routes, weak points in the defenses. My enhanced mind absorbs it all in seconds, categorizing and planning without conscious thought. The drugs are already calculating how to kill this man in the most efficient way possible. Time frame? I ask. My voice is steadier now. The drugs are settling into their rhythm. Immediate deployment. Drop pod insertion in 20 minutes. Extraction will occur automatically upon target elimination. The handler pauses. This is your 173rd termination, operative. Your success rate remains perfect. The Emperor expects nothing less. 173rd. The number hits me like a punch. I have killed 172 people before this. 172 human beings whose faces I cannot remember, whose names I never knew. The thought tries to take root in my mind, but the slot burns it away. What does it matter? They were guilty. They deserved death. I am the Emperor's justice. This is what I was made for. But somewhere, buried deep beneath the chemicals, a small voice whispers. It asks a question I cannot quite hear over the roaring of my enhanced heartbeat. It asks if I chose this, if I ever chose any of this. I try to remember. I close my eyes and search for memories from before. There are fragments, scattered like broken glass. A room with white walls. Pain, so much pain. Needles and surgeries and conditioning. Voices telling me I was special, chosen, blessed. I remember other children. Some of them did not survive the conditioning. Their bodies rejected the drugs or their minds broke under the training. I remember watching one of them die, his body convulsing as too many stims flooded his system at once. I remember feeling nothing. Before that, there is almost nothing. Sometimes I dream of a woman's face. She might have been my mother. She is saying something, but I cannot hear the words. The memory fades like smoke every time I try to hold on to it. The handlers say it does not matter who we were before. The old life is dead. We are reborn as weapons in the Emperor's hands. Perfect, pure, without mercy or doubt. A child's voice echoes in my head, distant and afraid. My name is... But the rest is gone. Burned away by decades of psycho-indoctrination and chemical reconditioning. Maybe I had a name once. Maybe I had a family, a home, dreams of what I would become when I grew up. But that person died a long time ago. What stands in this activation chamber is something else. Something that exists only in the moments between missions. Something that is not activated for battle, but activated as battle itself. The servitors finish arming me. One attaches the Mori bomb to my chest plate, its red light blinking steadily. The device is wired into my unstable biochemistry. If I fail my mission or if I am captured, the handlers will trigger it remotely. If I die in combat, the volatile drug cocktail in my blood will trigger the meltdown anyway. Either way, everything within 30 feet gets vaporized. Even my death belongs to the officio. Even that choice is not mine. I flex my fingers and feel the power coiled in every muscle. I could tear a man in half with my bare hands right now. I could run fast enough to catch a speeding vehicle. I could fight for hours without rest, killing until nothing remained alive around me. This is what the drugs give me. This is what they took everything else away to create. The handler gestures toward the deployment bay. Your drop pod awaits, operative. Serve the Emperor with distinction. He says it like a blessing, like this is an honor. I walk toward the bay, each step measured and precise. The drugs have full control now. My mind is clear in the way a laser is clear, focused on a single point with absolute intensity. Target, Governor Malveus Trant. Objective, termination. Method, maximum violence. Timeline, immediate. But as I climb into the drop pod and the restraints lock around my enhanced body, that small voice whispers again. It asks how long I have been doing this. It asks how many more missions there will be before my body finally breaks down or my mind shatters completely. It asks if there is anything left of the person I might have been before they made me into this. The pod seals shut. Darkness surrounds me. Through the neural link, I can feel the pod being loaded into the launch tube. I can feel the ship moving into position over Calth Secundus. I can feel my heart pounding at nearly 300 beats per minute, ready to sustain combat that would kill a normal human in seconds. They tell me my name is Operative K7739, but somewhere in the chemical fog I wonder if I ever had another one, and I wonder if that person, whoever they were, would recognize what I have become. The drop pod hits atmosphere like a meteor. G-forces crush me into the restraints hard enough to break a normal person's ribs, but I am not normal. The drugs racing through my system make me stronger than any human has a right to be. I feel my bones creak under the pressure, but they hold. They always hold. The officio spent years making sure my body could survive what they planned to do with it. Through the neural link, I can sense everything. The pod's heat shield glowing white-hot as friction tears at the metal. The screaming of air molecules being ripped apart, the targeting computer calculating trajectory and landing coordinates. It feeds directly into my brain and I process it all without thinking. This is what the conditioning did. It turned me into a weapon that thinks. Impact comes hard and fast. The pod slams into the courtyard of Governor Trant's palace with enough force to crack the stone beneath it. Before the dust settles, before the guards can react, the front panel explodes outward. I am moving before my conscious mind registers the command to move. This is pure reflex now, pure training, pure chemical enhancement working in perfect harmony. The courtyard is full of guards. I count them automatically. 47 armed men in ceremonite armor. They carry las rifles and shock batons. Some are already raising their weapons. I see their mouths opening to shout warnings. I see their fingers tightening on triggers, but they move so slowly. The Fury Edge makes the world run at half speed while I operate at double. They are statues. I am lightning. My monomolecular blade extends with a whisper of metal. It is sharper than any normal blade could ever be, each edge only one molecule thick. It cuts through the first guard's armor like it cuts through air. I do not think about the motion. My body knows what to do. The conditioning taught it well. Slash across the throat. Spin. Drive the blade through the gap between chest plate and helmet. Turn. Kick hard enough to cave in a rib cage. The executioner pistol barks in my right hand. Each shot is a controlled burst of armor-piercing rounds. Headshot, headshot, center mass. The targeting computer in my neural gauntlet guides my aim with inhuman precision. I am not missing. I cannot miss. Every bullet finds flesh. Every blade stroke opens arteries. Every kick shatters bone. Somewhere in the back of my mind I am screaming. But the sound never reaches my throat. The slot has locked away everything except the need to kill. There is no fear, no hesitation, no mercy, just the mathematical certainty of violence reduced to its most efficient form. A guard manages to fire his last rifle. The beam catches me in the shoulder, burning through armor and flesh. I smell my own skin cooking. The pain should drop me to my knees. Instead, the drugs transform it into fuel. The frenzy surges harder. My heart pounds faster. The rage grows hotter. I tear the guard's head from his shoulders with my bare hands. Time loses meaning. I am moving through the palace now. Corridors painted with fresh blood. Bodies behind me like a trail of breadcrumbs. My enhanced hearing picks up every sound. Footsteps running toward me. The click of weapons being loaded. Prayers being whispered to the Emperor by men who know they are about to die. I am their answer to those prayers. I am death wearing human skin. The governor's bodyguards are better trained than the regular soldiers. They move in formation. They coordinate their fire. They aim for the joints in my armor where flesh is exposed. 3 of them hit me at once. Last beams and solid rounds tear into my body. I feel ribs crack. I feel blood filling my left lung. But my body has redundant organs. My blood clots faster than any human's. The combat drugs keep me upright when shock should have killed me. I kill all three in less than 4 seconds. Governor Trant is in his throne room. He is exactly like the hololith showed me. Fat, sweating, surrounded by the trappings of wealth stolen from people who worked for every coin. He sees me coming through the doors and his face goes white. His mouth opens. He tries to say something. Maybe he wants to beg. Maybe he wants to explain why he betrayed the Imperium for promises of power from the dark gods. I do not care. The blade takes his head before the words can form. The mission timer in my neural display reads 4 minutes and 17 seconds from insertion to termination. Efficient, clean, perfect. Then something changes. The drugs begin their descent cycle. The slot starts to fade. It happens slowly, like a tide pulling back from a beach. And as it retreats, it leaves things behind. Things I was not supposed to see. I look down at the governor's body. Blood is pooling around it, soaking into expensive carpets. His eyes are still open, staring at nothing. There is a portrait on the wall behind his throne. A woman and 2 children, his family probably. Were they guilty too? Did they know what he was doing? Does it matter? The room spins. I catch myself on the edge of the throne. My hands leave bloody prints on the gold inlay. I am shaking now, but not from the drugs. This is something else. Something the conditioning was supposed to have burned out of me. I turn and look back through the palace. The trail of bodies I left behind. Guards who were just doing their jobs. Some of them were probably good men, loyal to the Imperium. They died because they stood between me and my target. They died because I was told to kill anyone who got in my way. One body catches my eye. A young guard, maybe 20 years old. He is slumped against a wall where my blade opened him from shoulder to hip. His hands are still clutching a piece of paper. It fell from his pocket when he died. I pick it up. It is a letter. The handwriting is careful and looping. My dearest son, I am so proud of you for serving in the governor's guard. Your father would have been proud too. Please stay safe and come home when your service is done. Love, Mother. The paper falls from my fingers. I am breathing too fast. My enhanced heart is still pounding, but now it feels wrong. The chemicals are fading, and all that is left is what I did. What I always do. What I have done 172 times before. The extraction signal pings in my neural display. A shuttle is landing in the courtyard. Time to return to the Eversor temple. Time to go back into the pod. Time to sleep until they need me again. I walk through the palace like a ghost. Each body I pass is a question I cannot answer. Each pool of blood is a choice I never made. The handlers call this justice. They call it the Emperor's will. But standing here in the aftermath, looking at the destruction I caused in 4 minutes, I wonder what justice means when you cannot even remember the faces of those you killed. The shuttle's interior is cold and sterile. A medic servitor waits inside, half human and half machine. It begins treating my wounds without speaking. Needles slide into my ports. Healing chemicals mix with the combat drugs still in my system. My cracked ribs start to knit back together. The burns on my shoulder begin to close. By the time we reach the Assassinorum void station, I will be healed enough for storage. The handler from before is waiting in the shuttle. He sits across from me, his skull mask reflecting my blood-stained face. Excellent work, Operative K7739. Mission completion time was 4.3% faster than projected estimates. Target eliminated with 0 complications. The Inquisition is pleased. I try to speak, but my throat is dry. How many? How many what, Operative? How many did I kill today? The handler tilts his head like he does not understand the question. 47 guards, 3 bodyguards, 1 primary target, total of 51 terminations, all confirmed deceased. He says it like he is reading a weather report. 51 people, 51 lives ended in less than 5 minutes. and I can barely remember doing it. The combat fugue state, that is what the tech priests call it, when the drugs take over completely and your body fights while your mind watches from far away. Like being a passenger in your own skull. You mentioned this was my 173rd successful termination, I say. The words feel heavy in my mouth. What happened to the first 172? The handler pulls up a data slate. His mechanical fingers tap across its surface. You have served the Officio Assassinorum for 79 years, 4 months and 16 days. Your first mission was the elimination of a heretic forge master on Metallica. Your most recent prior mission was the termination of a Genestealer cult patriarch on Scintilla. You have never failed an assignment. Your success rate is perfect. 79 years, nearly 80 years of killing, of being frozen and thawed and sent to murder people whose crimes I never questioned. 80 years of missions I cannot remember. 80 years of faces I never learned and names I never knew. Do you have records, I ask, of the missions, of who they were? The handler looks at me for a long moment. Even through the mask, I can feel him studying me. That information is classified and irrelevant to mission parameters. Your function is elimination, not evaluation. The Inquisition determines guilt. You determine method. He pauses. Is there a problem, Operative? I should say no. I should accept the answer and prepare for cryo storage. But the drugs are almost gone now, and something else is filling the space they left behind. Something that feels like drowning. I don't remember them, I whisper. Any of them. I don't remember their faces. I don't remember what they did. I just remember killing them and then nothing. Just darkness until the next activation. The handler nods slowly. That is by design, Operative. Emotional attachment to targets reduces efficiency. Memory of past eliminations creates psychological burden that degrades performance. The cryo sleep between missions allows your organic components to reset. It is a kindness, truly. You do not carry the weight of your service. A kindness. He calls it a kindness that I cannot remember the people I murdered, that I spend most of my existence in frozen darkness, that I wake only to kill and then sleep again like some terrible machine that runs on human lives. How long do we last? The question comes out before I can stop it. Operatives like me, what's the average service life? The handler is quiet for a moment. Then he says, most Eversor operatives maintain combat effectiveness for 50 to 60 years before biological degradation requires termination. You have exceeded expected parameters significantly. Your conditioning has proven exceptionally resilient. He says it like it is a compliment. The shuttle docks with the Assassinorum Void Station. Through the viewport, I can see the massive structure floating in orbit above a dead moon. One of a dozen scattered Eversor stasis fortresses hidden throughout the Imperium. This is home. This has been home for 79 years. I have spent more time frozen in a pod inside those walls than I spent living as a child before the Officio took me. As the Medici servitor leads me toward the cryo bay, we pass another chamber. Through the reinforced glass, I see another activation in progress. A pod is opening. A figure steps out naked and shaking. Another Eversor. The servitors move to arm them with the same mechanical efficiency they used on me. I stop walking. The handler notices and turns back. Is there an issue, Operative? Who is that? Operative K9912, preparing for deployment to eliminate a cult leader on Thrax. I watch as the other assassin receives their injections. I see their body go rigid as the drugs hit. I see their eyes change from confused to cold. I see the person disappear and the weapon emerge. This is what I look like. This is what happens every time they wake me. How long have they been in service? I ask. The handler checks his data slate. 83 years, 7 months, one of our senior operatives. 83 years, 4 years longer than me. I try to imagine 4 more years of this. 4 more years of waking to kill and sleeping to forget. 4 more years of being frozen and thawed like meat in storage. Do they remember? The question sounds desperate even to my own ears. Do they remember who they were before? The handler looks at me with what might be concern. It is hard to tell through the mask. Operative K7739, you are showing signs of psychological deterioration. This is not uncommon after extended service. When we return you to cryo-storage, I will flag your file for additional psycho-conditioning during your next activation cycle. It will help stabilize your neural patterns. Additional conditioning. More chemicals and surgery and programming to burn away whatever part of me is asking these questions. More work to make sure I stop wondering and just obey. We reach my cryopod. It stands open like a coffin waiting for a corpse. The interior is dark and cold. How many times have I climbed into this pod? How many times have I let them freeze me and make me forget? Hundreds. Thousands. The handler gestures toward the pod. Time for rest, Operative. You have served well today. When you wake again, you will be needed again. This is the cycle. This is the purpose. I look at the pod. Then I look at my hands. They are clean now. The servitors washed away the blood during the medical treatment. But I can still feel it there. 51 people's worth of blood. And before that, 172 more missions worth. How much blood have these hands spilled? How many faces have they been the last thing to see? Something is breaking inside me. Some wall the conditioning built. I can feel it cracking like ice under pressure. On one side is the weapon they made me. Perfect, efficient, without doubt or mercy. On the other side is something else. Something that is starting to remember what questions taste like. I climb into the pod. The restraints lock around my wrists and ankles. The neural connections slide into my spine ports. The handler watches through the pod's small viewport as the cryo fluid begins to fill the chamber. The cold comes fast. My body temperature drops. My heartbeat slows. The world starts to fade into that familiar darkness where I spend most of my existence. But this time, as consciousness slips away, I hold on to one thought. One question that the drugs and the cold cannot quite erase. The guard's letter said, "Come home." But where is home for something like me? Where do weapons go when they are not being used? We do not have homes. We have storage. We do not have families. We have handlers. We do not have lives. We have activation cycles. And in the deepest part of the darkness as the cryo-sleep takes me, I wonder if the person I was before the officio found me ever had a home. If they ever had a mother who wrote them letters, if they ever had anything worth remembering. The answer freezes along with my body, and I sleep, and I forget, until they need me again. The cold releases me, and I am awake again. But something is different this time. The activation sequence feels wrong. The drugs flow into my system through the neural ports, but my mind stays clearer than it should. The frenzen makes my heart race, but I can still think through the fog. The fury edge sharpens my senses, but does not drown out my thoughts. The slot tries to lock away my emotions, but they slip through the cracks like water through broken fingers. I step from the pod, and the servitors arm me with the same mechanical precision as always. Body glove, armor plating, monomolecular blade, executioner pistol, neural gauntlet. Each piece locks into place and connects to my nervous system. But I feel it happening now. I am aware of each connection in a way I have not been in decades. This is wrong. The conditioning is supposed to make this automatic. I should not be noticing. The handler enters the activation chamber. Different mask, but same cold voice. Operative K7739, you have been in cryo storage for 7 months, 3 days. Deployment is required immediately. Target designation, Chaos Cult Leader, Planet Morikanta 7. Mission parameters uploading now. The data flows into my neural display, but I catch myself reading it instead of just absorbing it. The target's name is Prelate Cassius Morn. He runs a cult that worships the dark gods in the underhive of Morikant's capital city. The Inquisition estimates he has corrupted over 3,000 souls. His death will save millions from falling to chaos. 7 months. I have been frozen for 7 months. How much time have I lost to the darkness? How many years of my 80-year service have I actually been awake for? The math tries to form in my head, but the drugs push it away. Not important. Only the mission is important. The drop pod descent is the same as always. The same crushing force. The same screaming metal. The same moment of impact that would kill anyone who was not chemically enhanced beyond human limits. But this time I notice my hands gripping the restraints. I notice the fear trying to push through the slot's chemical wall. I notice that I am afraid, and that scares me more than the mission ever could. Morrican 7's underhive is a maze of rusted corridors and forgotten passages 3 miles beneath the surface. The air stinks of decay and human waste. My enhanced senses catalog everything. Chemical traces of chaos corruption, the ozone smell of warp energy, the copper taste of blood both old and fresh. The cult's hideout is deep in the underhive's heart. I move through the darkness like smoke. The blade whispers through the throats of sentries before they can raise alarms. The pistol coughs quietly and cultists fall without ever knowing death was coming. This is what I do. This is what I am good at. Killing in silence, killing without mercy, killing without question. But then I turn a corner and freeze. The corridor opens into a large chamber. Inside are children. Maybe 20 of them, ages 5 to 12 if I am guessing right. They sit in a circle around a symbol painted on the floor in what looks like blood. An 8-pointed star, the mark of chaos undivided, and they are chanting. Words in a language that hurts to hear. Words that no child should know. An adult stands at the circle's center. She wears robes marked with more chaos symbols. She is teaching them, leading them in worship of the dark gods, indoctrinating them while they are too young to understand what they are doing. Too young to know they are damning their own souls. The mission parameters are clear. Eliminate all cult members, no exceptions, no survivors. The corruption must be burned out completely or it will spread again. These children have been exposed to chaos. They have spoken the words. They have participated in the rituals. By imperial law, they are already lost. The drugs scream at me to attack. The Frenzen wants blood. The combat programming demands I complete the mission. But something pushes back. Something that has been growing since the last mission. Since I saw that guard's letter. Since I started asking questions the conditioning was supposed to have erased. These are children. Whatever they have done, whatever they have been taught, they are still children. Their faces are dirty and thin from hunger. Some have scars that speak of abuse. They did not choose this life. They were born into it or dragged into it. Is their corruption their fault? Or is it the fault of the adults who failed to protect them? My finger tightens on the trigger. The targeting computer highlights each small skull. Headshot, headshot, headshot. 20 rounds to end 20 lives. Clean, efficient, exactly as I was trained. But I cannot pull the trigger. Something is broken in the conditioning. Some wall has cracked wide enough that human feeling is flooding through. And what floods through is horror at what I am about to do. The woman leading the ritual sees me. Her eyes go wide. She opens her mouth to scream a warning. The drugs surge and my body moves before my mind can stop it. The blade takes her head. She falls and the children scatter, screaming in terror. I chase them, not because I want to. Because the drugs make me, because the programming demands completion. Because I am a weapon and weapons do not choose their targets. My blade finds flesh. My bullets find bone. And through it all, I am screaming inside my own head, begging myself to stop. But my body will not listen. When it is over, the silence is worse than the screaming. 21 bodies, 20 children and 1 adult, all dead by my hands. I stand in the center of the chamber and look at what I have done. The mission parameters said this was necessary. Said these deaths would save millions. But looking at the small bodies sprawled across the blood-painted floor, I cannot make that math work anymore. I try to move forward, to continue the mission, to find Prelate Morn and complete the termination. But my legs do not work right. I stumble against a wall and slide down until I am sitting in something wet. Blood or water or chemical runoff from the underhive's ancient pipes. It does not matter. The medical warning lights flash in my neural display. Heart rate irregular, blood pressure spiking. Neural activity showing patterns consistent with severe psychological trauma. Recommendation: immediate extraction and full psycho-reconditioning. But I dismiss the warnings. Let them flash. Let them scream. They cannot make me feel worse than I already do. Time passes. I do not know how much. The drugs are fighting with something in my brain, chemical warfare happening inside my own skull. The slot wants to lock the emotions away, to make me forget what I just did, to let me stand up and finish the mission like the perfect weapon I am supposed to be. But whatever is broken will not let it. The wall keeps cracking wider, footsteps echo in the corridor, heavy, measured, not the shuffle of cultists, but the deliberate stride of someone who knows how to fight. I force myself to stand and raise my pistol. The targeting computer acquires the figure emerging from the darkness. Power armor, deep blue with silver trim. The shoulder pad bears a symbol I recognize, a chapter of Space Marines. Loyal to the Imperium, but the armor is scarred and dented, battle-worn. And the Marine wearing it moves with the weariness of someone who has fought too many wars. He sees me and stops. His helmet tilts as he takes in the scene. The dead children, the chaos symbols, the blood everywhere. When he speaks, his voice is deep and carries the weight of centuries. Eversor assassin, you are far from your temple. I should kill him. He is not part of the mission. He is a witness to Imperial Assassinorum operations. Protocol demands elimination of all witnesses. My finger tightens on the trigger but does not pull it. Target is Prelate Cassius Morn, I say. My voice sounds strange, hollow. Chaos cult leader, I am completing my mission parameters. The Space Marine looks at the children again. His helmet turns back to me. These were your mission parameters? To kill children? They were corrupted, exposed to chaos. Imperial law is clear. The words come automatically, but they taste like ash in my mouth. Imperial law, the Space Marine repeats. He laughs, but there is no humor in it. Do you know why I am here, assassin? I am Chapter Master Aldrich Thorn, or I was before I discovered what the Inquisition has been doing on this world. Before I learned that Prelate Morn is not a chaos cultist but an inquisitorial agent. Before I found evidence that the Inquisition itself has been spreading chaos corruption to justify their own power. The words do not make sense. My neural display tries to process them against my mission briefing and finds contradictions everywhere. You are lying. The Inquisition serves the Emperor. They would not spread the very corruption they are, sworn to fight. Wouldn't they? Thorn takes a step closer. Look at what you just did. You killed children because someone told you it was necessary. You didn't question. You didn't investigate. You just obeyed. That is what they want. Perfect obedience. Perfect weapons who never ask if the target actually deserves to die. My hands are shaking. The drugs are trying to steady them but failing. I am Operative K7739. I serve the Emperor. I eliminate traitors and heretics. This is my purpose. K7739, not even a name, just a number. Thorn's voice softens slightly. Do you remember your name? Before they made you into this? I try to remember. I search through decades of conditioning and chemical fog. There is something there, a ghost of a memory, a voice calling a name that might have been mine, but it slips away like water through my fingers. I don't remember, I whisper. I don't remember anything before the temple. Because they took it from you. They took everything that made you human and replaced it with drugs and programming. They turned you into a weapon that thinks it has no choice. Thorn reaches up and removes his helmet. His face is scarred and worn, but his eyes are clear. But you do have a choice, assassin. Right now, in this moment, you can choose. The drugs are screaming at me to kill him. The programming demands I complete my mission and eliminate this witness, but the crack in the conditioning is a chasm now. And through it pours something I have not felt in so long I barely recognize it. Doubt. What choice? I ask. I am what they made me. I cannot be anything else. You can choose to stop. You can choose to question. You can choose to see that you are being used. Thorn gestures at the dead children. Do you think the Emperor wanted this? Children murdered because someone decided they were too corrupted to save? Or do you think someone wanted them dead for other reasons? Maybe they saw something they shouldn't have. Maybe they knew something that needed to be buried. I look at the children's bodies again. Really look at them. And I see things I missed in the combat fugue. Some of them have bruises that are days old, marks of systematic abuse. One has a broken arm that healed wrong. Another has scars from being burned with something hot. These children were not being indoctrinated into chaos worship. They were being tortured. The woman, I say slowly, she was not teaching them to worship. She was preparing them for sacrifice. And someone knew about it, Thorn says. Someone high enough in the Inquisition to authorize an Eversor deployment, not to save these children, to silence them permanently, to make sure whatever they knew died with them. The pieces fall into place with horrible clarity. I am not hunting chaos cultists. I am cleaning up an Inquisitor's mistakes. These children died not because they were corrupted, but because they were inconvenient. And I am the weapon that made their deaths look like righteous necessity. I killed them, I say. The words feel like they are being torn from my throat. I killed children who needed saving. Yes, you did. Thorn does not soften the truth. But you can choose to stop now. You can choose to not kill me. You can choose to find out the truth instead of just following orders. The Mori bomb on my chest plate beeps. A soft warning tone. The handlers are monitoring my vital signs. They know something is wrong. They will trigger the bomb if they think I am compromised. 30 feet of vaporization. My unstable biochemistry will do the rest, the drug cocktail igniting in a bio-meltdown that will consume everything nearby. Thorn would survive, probably. His power armor would protect him, but I would be gone, erased. Another failed operative who needed replacing. They will kill me if I do not complete the mission, I say. Then you die making a choice instead of dying as a weapon. Thorn extends his hand. Or you come with me. Help me expose what the Inquisition is doing here. Maybe save some lives instead of just ending them. I look at his hand, then at the children, then at my own hands, still stained with their blood despite the armor. 80 years of service. 173 successful terminations. A perfect record of obedience. All of it leading to this moment in this underhive chamber surrounded by the bodies of innocents. The drugs are failing. I can feel them losing their grip on my mind. The frenzen is burning out. The fury edge is fading. The slot is crumbling. And beneath them all, something else is emerging. Something that has been buried for 8 decades under chemicals and conditioning. Something that is starting to remember what it means to choose. My neural display flashes red. Mori bomb activation sequence initiated. I have 60 seconds before detonation. The handlers have made their decision. I am compromised. I am no longer a reliable asset. Time to eliminate the failed weapon. Thorn sees the bomb's warning lights start to blink faster. Make your choice, assassin. Die as a weapon or live as whatever you choose to become. 45 seconds. My hand moves toward the bomb's manual override. The conditioning screams that this is treason, that disobeying the handlers is the ultimate sin, that I exist only to serve, and to serve is to obey without question. But the crack in that wall is too wide now. Too much humanity has flooded through. 30 seconds. I think about the guard with the letter from his mother. About the 79 years I have spent frozen in darkness. About the 173 people I killed without ever knowing if they deserved to die. About these children who needed a hero and got a weapon instead. 15 seconds. My fingers find the override mechanism. It requires a code I should not know. But I have been in service for 80 years. I have watched tech priests perform maintenance hundreds of times. Some part of my enhanced memory retained the sequence. 5 seconds. I enter the code. The bomb's light changes from red to amber. Deactivation sequence accepted. The handlers are screaming through the neural link, demanding I reactivate it, ordering me to comply. But I reach up and tear the neural port from my skull. Blood runs down my neck, but I can no longer hear their voices. The silence is deafening. For the first time in 80 years, I am truly alone in my own head. No handlers, no mission parameters, no drugs telling me what to feel or how to think. Just me, whatever me is. I look at Thorn. I don't know how to be anything except what they made me. Then we learn together, he says. But first we need to move. The handlers will send a kill team, probably another Eversor. Another Eversor. Another operative just like me. Fresh from activation, drugs at full strength. Conditioning still perfect, coming to eliminate the failed weapon who chose humanity over obedience. And I will have to fight them, fight myself, fight what I was just hours ago. The irony is not lost on me. But as we move deeper into the underhive, away from the chamber of dead children and toward whatever comes next, I feel something I have not felt in so long I almost don't recognize it. It might be fear. It might be hope. It might be the first real feeling I have had since before the temple took everything away. I have made my choice. Now I have to live with it, or die with it. Either way, it will be mine. Either way, Thorn leads me through the underhive's twisting passages for 3 hours before we stop to rest. My body is failing. Without the regular drug injections, my enhanced systems are starting to shut down. My heart rate is dropping below safe levels, my muscles cramp and spasm. The wounds I took during the mission are not healing like they should. I am crashing hard. "How long do you have?" Thorn asks. He is checking his Vox for Imperial signals, looking for the kill team he knows is coming. I don't know, days maybe. Without the temple's medical support, my body will start to reject the enhancements. The conditioning made me dependent on the drugs. I lean against a rusted pipe and try to stay upright. I was not designed to exist outside the activation cycle. Then we need to move fast. Thorn pulls up a holo display from his armor's systems. It shows a map of the underhive. There is a Mechanicus outpost 2 miles from here. A Magos named Deltrian works there. He is studying ways to reverse Imperial conditioning programs. If anyone can help you, it's him. 2 miles. It might as well be 200. Every step feels like walking through deep water. My vision blurs at the edges. The neural ports in my spine are leaking blood and spinal fluid. But I force myself to move. I made a choice. Now I have to see it through. We move through the darkness. Thorn's armor sensors keep us away from gang territories and toxic zones. The underhive is a maze that kills the unprepared. But I grew up in worse places. Before the temple. Before they took me and made me forget. Some buried part of my brain remembers how to survive in places like this. What happens when we reach the Magos? I ask. Speaking helps me focus, helps me stay conscious. He can remove your conditioning, strip out the chemical dependencies, give you back control of your own mind and body. Thorn pauses. But it will not be easy. The process is painful. And there is no guarantee you will survive it. Your body has been enhanced and altered for 8 decades. Removing those alterations might kill you. And if he succeeds? What am I then? Thorn looks back at me. Even in the darkness, I can see the sadness in his eyes. Honestly, I don't know. You won't be an Eversor anymore. But you won't be the person you were before the temple either. You'll be something in between. Something new. Something new. The idea terrifies me more than death. At least in death there is an ending, a final rest. But to live without purpose, to exist without the mission parameters and handlers telling me what to do. How do you be human when you have forgotten what being human means? We are halfway to the Mechanicus outpost when my enhanced hearing picks up movement behind us, fast, too fast. I know that speed, I know those footsteps. Another Eversor. They're here, I say. We need to run. But running is pointless. Eversors are built to catch anything that runs, built to kill anything that fights, built to never stop until the target is eliminated. I know because I am one. Or I was. The distinction is starting to blur. Thorn draws his bolt pistol. Can you fight? Not at full strength. The drugs are mostly out of my system. I check my own weapons. The executioner pistol still has half a magazine. The monomolecular blade still extends properly. But without the combat drugs, I am just a broken man with fancy equipment. The Eversor hunting us is everything I used to be. Everything the conditioning made perfect. The attack comes from above. The Eversor drops from a ventilation shaft 20 feet up and lands in a crouch that would shatter normal human legs. Their armor is identical to mine. Their weapons are the same. But their eyes are the eyes of someone fully in the combat fugue. No recognition, no hesitation, just the mathematical certainty of violence. They move and I barely get my blade up in time to block. The impact sends shockwaves up my arms. Without the friendzone to dull the pain, I feel my bones creak. The Eversor does not pause. They flow into the next strike like water. Blade, pistol, kick. Each attack is perfect. Each movement is exactly what I would have done. Thorn fires his bolt pistol, but the Eversor is already moving. The explosive rounds crater the wall behind where they were a second ago. They are too fast, even for a space marine. This is what I was at full strength. This is what the temple's perfect conditioning creates. I try to match their speed, but my body will not cooperate. My muscles are sluggish, my reflexes are dulled. Every movement takes conscious thought instead of pure reflex. The Eversor's blade opens a cut across my ribs. Their pistol shot grazes my shoulder. I am losing. I am going to die here in this underhive tunnel, killed by a better version of myself. But then something changes. The Eversor goes for a kill strike, a move I know, a move I have done thousands of times. They overextend slightly because they know their target cannot dodge. But I am not running on drugs and programming anymore. I am running on something else, on choice, on desperation, on the stubborn human refusal to give up. I drop under their blade and drive my own up through the gap between chest plate and helmet. The monomolecular edge finds flesh. The Eversor stumbles back, dark blood pouring from the wound, but they do not fall. The drugs will keep them fighting until their body physically cannot continue. They raise their pistol for a final shot, but Thorn is faster. His bolt pistol barks once. The explosive round takes the Eversor in the head. Their body falls and does not move again. I stand there breathing hard, looking at the corpse. That could have been me. That should have been me, if I had not made the choice to question, if I had not let the crack in my conditioning become a chasm. I would be the one dead on the ground while another operative completed their mission without a second thought. We need to move, Thorn says. That one was just the first. They will send more. The Mechanicus outpost is hidden behind 3 feet of solid steel and enough security systems to stop a small army. Thorn knows the access codes. The doors grind open and we step into a world of humming machines and sacred oils. Tech priests move through the space like red-robed ghosts. Their mechanical augments whir and click in the rhythm of binary prayers. Magos Deltrian is more machine than man. His organic parts are limited to his brain and a few major organs. Everything else is steel and servo. When he sees me, his optical sensors focus with mechanical precision. Chapter Master Thorn. You bring me an Eversor assassin, how unexpected. His voice is synthesized but carries undertones of curiosity. He is crashing. His enhanced systems are failing without chemical support. Can you help him? Thorn asks. The Magos circles me like I am a specimen to study. His metal fingers probe my neural ports. He scans my vitals with instruments built into his arms. Help is an imprecise term. I can remove the conditioning, strip out the drug dependencies, reverse some of the enhancements. But the process will be agonizing. Many subjects do not survive, and those who do are forever changed. Changed how? My voice sounds weak even to my own ears. You have been an Eversor for 80 years. Your body has been shaped by that purpose. Your mind has been molded by that conditioning. Remove it and you may find yourself unable to function, unable to process emotion without chemical mediation, unable to exist without mission parameters telling you what to do. The Magos tilts his head. In essence, you may survive physically but lose yourself mentally. A different kind of death. 3 options, 3 paths forward. I can feel them like doorways opening in my mind. Each leads to a different end. The first option, do nothing. Let my body fail. Die here in this Mechanicus outpost as my enhanced systems cannibalize themselves without the drugs to sustain them. It would be relatively quick, painful but quick. And in death, I would find the rest that has been denied to me for 8 decades. No more killing, no more questions, no more burden of choice. Just the final darkness. The second option. Accept the Magos' treatment. Let him strip away the conditioning. Remove the drug dependencies. Survive the process if I can. But then what? Who am I without the temple? Without the handlers? Without the mission parameters? I would be free, truly free for the first time since childhood. Free to choose my own path. But freedom comes with a cost. I would have to live with the memories of what I did, every face I killed, every order I followed, every child I murdered because someone told me it was necessary. How does a person carry that weight? How do you become human again when you remember being a monster? The third option, fight back. Not just run and hide, but turn against the Officio Assassinorum itself. Expose what they do to people like me. Reveal the corruption. Try to save others from the fate I suffered. It would mean war. The Inquisition does not forgive traitors. I would spend whatever time I had left being hunted by the very weapons I used to be. But maybe I could do some good before they killed me. Maybe I could balance the scales just a little. I look at my hands. They are shaking. Not from the drugs this time, but from the weight of the choice. For 80 years I did not have to choose. The handlers chose for me. The mission parameters chose for me. The conditioning chose for me. Now the choice is mine, and it feels like holding a star. Beautiful and terrifying and burning with impossible heat. If you do this, I say to the Magos, if you remove the conditioning, will I remember? Will I remember who I was before the temple? The Magos processes the question for several seconds. Some memories may return. The psycho-indoctrination suppresses rather than erases. But 8 decades is a long time. Much will be lost forever. You may never know your original name or remember your childhood clearly. The person you were is dead. The question is whether the person you become can live with being born from that death. I close my eyes. Behind my eyelids I see faces. The guard with the letter. The children in the underhive. The 173 targets I eliminated over 8 decades of service. The other Eversor who died still perfect in their conditioning. All of them ghosts. All of them weights I will carry for whatever time I have left. But I also see something else. The possibility of choice. The chance to be something other than a weapon. The hope that maybe, just maybe, I can do more good than harm before the end. Do it, I say. Remove the conditioning. I choose to live. The Magos nods and gestures to a surgical table. Prepare yourself. The process takes 6 hours. You will be conscious for all of it. The pain will be extraordinary. You may beg me to stop. You may beg me to kill you. I will not stop. Once begun, the procedure must be completed or you will die regardless. I climb onto the table. Thorn stands nearby. His presence is comforting somehow. This space marine I barely know is the only person who has treated me like a human being in longer than I can remember. "Why are you helping me?" I ask him. "Because the Imperium is broken," he says quietly. "Because we have forgotten that we fight for people, not just for power. Because you made a choice to be better and that choice deserves support." He pauses. "And because I have seen too many good people destroyed by systems that claim to protect them." The Magos begins his work. Needles slide into my neural ports. Not to deliver drugs this time, but to extract them, to flush my system clean. The pain is immediate and total. Every nerve ending screams. My enhanced body fights the intrusion, tries to preserve the conditioning that has defined it for so long. But the Magos is relentless, machine precise. He cuts and drains and purges with the efficiency of someone who has done this before. I scream. I cannot help it. The conditioning has kept me from feeling true pain for decades. Everything was filtered through drugs that made agony into fuel. Now there is no filter, just raw nerve endings firing in patterns my brain was never meant to process. Hours pass. The Magos remove cybernetic implants I did not even know I had. He deactivates neural pathways that have governed my thoughts since childhood. He drains chemicals that have been in my blood for so long they are practically part of it. Each extraction is a small death. Each removal is a piece of the weapon being stripped away to reveal whatever is underneath. At the 5-hour mark, something breaks. Not my body, but something deeper. A wall in my mind that the conditioning built. It shatters like glass and memories flood through. Not all of them, not even most of them, but enough. I remember a woman's face. She is young and tired, and she is holding a small boy's hand. The woman is my mother. The boy is me. We are standing outside a massive building with the Aquila symbol above the door. The Schola Progenium, where orphans are taken to be trained for Imperial service. "They will take care of you," my mother says. Her voice is shaking. "You will have food and shelter. You will serve the Emperor." "I don't want to go," the small boy says. "Please don't make me go." But my mother has no choice. She is dying. Some sickness the medici cannot cure. She has weeks left at most. The Schola is the only place her son will be safe, will be fed, will have a future of any kind. "Be brave," my mother says. "Be strong. Remember that I love you." The memory fractures, jumps forward. I am older now, maybe 10. The instructors have noticed something about me, some combination of speed and reflexes and aggression that makes me perfect for a special program. They tell me I have been chosen for a great honor, that I will serve the Emperor in ways few ever can, that I should be proud. I do not feel proud. I feel afraid, but fear is not allowed. They teach me not to feel it, teach me to lock it away, teach me that emotions are weakness and weakness is death. The memory jumps again. The first injection, the first time the drugs turn me into something other than human. The first time I kill someone while the friend zone screams in my veins. And the first time I wake from cryo-storage unable to remember what I did or who I was. The memories stop. That is all I get, just fragments. Just pieces of a life that belonged to someone else. But it is enough. Enough to know that I had a mother who loved me. Enough to know that I did not choose this life. Enough to know that the small boy who went into the Schola Progenium died long before operative K7739 was ever activated. The Mago steps back. "It is done. Your vital signs are stabilizing. The conditioning is removed. The drug dependencies are purged. You will live." He sounds almost surprised. I try to sit up, but my body will not cooperate. I am weak. So weak. Everything hurts in ways I cannot describe, but underneath the pain is something else, something that might be relief. I am free. Truly free. The handlers cannot call me back. The drugs cannot control me. The mission parameters cannot define me. What's your name? Thorn asks softly. I search the fragments of memory the procedure gave back to me, looking for the name my mother called me. It is there, faint but there, like writing on old paper. Davin, I whisper. My name was Davin Cross. Saying it out loud feels like coming back to life, like breathing air for the first time after drowning. I am not Operative K7739, I am Davin Cross. And for the first time in 80 years, I am choosing who I want to be. But the choice comes with consequences. The Magos' sensors detect movement outside the outpost, multiple contacts, moving fast, a full kill team. The Officio Assassinorum does not accept failure. They will not allow me to live as a traitor to their perfect system. How long do I have? I ask. Minutes, the Magos replies. They are cutting through the outer doors now. Thorn checks his weapons. I can buy you time. Get to the lower levels. There are escape tunnels that lead to the surface. And then what? I ask. I run forever? Spend whatever time I have left hiding from the Imperium? You survive, Thorn says. You live. You find a way to be human again. That is enough. But it is not enough. Not for me. I did not go through 6 hours of agony just to run and hide. I did not reclaim my name just to live as a ghost. I have one chance to do something that matters. One chance to balance the scales even slightly for all the harm I caused. The research, I say to the Magos. The deconditioning process. Do you have records? Complete documentation, the Magos confirms, but it is classified. If the Inquisition discovers I have developed this process, they will destroy it and me. Then we make sure they cannot destroy it. I force myself off the table. Every movement is agony, but I push through it. We send it everywhere. Every Mechanicus outpost, every Space Marine chapter, every Imperial official who might listen. We expose what the Officio does to people. We give other conditioned operatives a chance to choose. The outer doors explode inward. I hear the familiar sound of Eversor combat. They are coming. Multiple operatives, all in full combat fugue, all perfect weapons sent to eliminate the failed one. Do it, I tell the Magos. Send the data. Send everything. The Magos' optical sensors focus on me for a long moment. Then he nods. His mechanical fingers dance across data terminals. Codes flash. Transmissions launch. The research spreads through the noosphere like wildfire. Unstoppable. Undeletable. Available to anyone who might use it to free someone like I was freed. The Eversors breach the inner sanctum. I see them through the doorway. 3 of them. All moving with the perfect synchronization of shared conditioning. All ready to complete their mission without hesitation or mercy. Thorn moves to engage them, but I put a hand on his arm. No, this is my fight. They are me. Were me. I am the only one who can face what I was. I step forward to meet them. My body is weak. My weapons are the same as theirs, but I have no drugs to enhance my speed or dull my pain. But I have something they do not have. I have choice. I have will. I have a name that I chose to remember. The fight is brief and brutal. I am not fast enough or strong enough to match them. Their blades open wounds across my arms and torso. Their bullets punch through my damaged armor, but I keep moving, keep fighting. Not because I was programmed to, but because I choose to. I manage to kill one. A lucky strike that finds the gap in their armor. They fall and do not rise. The other 2 press harder, faster. They know I am failing. They know victory is certain. They are perfect in the way I used to be perfect. Empty of doubt. Empty of fear. Empty of everything except purpose. One of them raises their pistol for a kill shot. I am too slow to dodge, too weak to block. This is how it ends. Killed by the weapon I used to be. There is a strange justice in that. But before they can fire, their body jerks. Once, twice. They fall, revealing Thorn behind them, his bolt pistol smoking. The last Eversor turns to face this new threat, and I use the distraction. My blade finds their spine. They collapse, and their combat fugue finally ends. I fall to my knees. Blood is pouring from my wounds. The Magos is already moving toward me with medical equipment, but we both know it is too late. My body has been through too much. The enhancements are failing. The conditioning removal weakened me beyond recovery. I am dying. But I am dying as Davin Cross, not as Operative K7739. I am dying with a name I chose to remember, with memories of a mother who loved me, with the knowledge that maybe, just maybe, the data we sent will help someone else escape the prison I spent 80 years trapped in. Thorn kneels beside me. The data is transmitting across the entire sector. The Inquisition cannot stop it. You did it. I try to smile, but my face does not work right anymore. Did I make the right choice? Yes, Thorn says without hesitation. You chose to be human. That is always the right choice. My vision is fading. The pain is fading too. Everything is fading except one thought, one final realization. They told me my name was Operative K7739. They told me I was a weapon. They told me I had no choice. But I remember now. My name was Davin, and in the end I chose who I wanted to be. The darkness comes, but this time it is not the darkness of cryo-sleep, not the forced unconsciousness between missions. This is the final darkness, the one that comes when the watch is truly ended. And in that darkness I find peace. Somewhere in the Imperium data packets arrive at terminals across 1,000 worlds. Tech priests read them with confusion. Space Marine librarians study them with concern. Inquisitors try to suppress them with fury. But the information is out. The truth about what the Officio Assassinorum does to create its perfect weapons. The cost of that perfection measured in stolen lives and broken minds. And somewhere, in the deep halls beneath the Eversor temple, another operative wakes to the sound of activation procedures. Another consciousness trapped in a cycle of violence and chemical control. But this time, buried in their neural implants is a data packet, hidden deep, encrypted carefully, waiting for the right moment to activate. The research on deconditioning, the proof that freedom is possible, the knowledge that choice exists even for those who were told they could never choose. The weapon thinks it has no name, but the data whispers otherwise, whispers that names matter, that humanity can survive even the worst conditioning, that one person's choice to be better can echo across the stars. They tell that operative their designation is K8891, but somewhere in the deepest parts of their consciousness a seed has been planted. A crack has formed in the wall. And through that crack, the possibility of choice begins to grow. The Imperium created perfect weapons, but they forgot that anything capable of thought is also capable of question. And anything capable of question is capable of choosing to say no. In the end, that is enough. One person choosing humanity. One crack in the perfect system. One name remembered against all odds. My name was Davin Cross, and I chose to be human. That is my legacy. That is my final termination. Not of a target, but of the lie that we are only what they make us. We are what we choose to be. Even in the grim darkness of the far future, even when the cost is everything, we can choose, and that choice changes everything.